Hello everybody, I hope you're doing fantastically well. It is Connor here and this is another tactical breakdown for you guys to get your teeth into. Leeds United beating Fulham last night on penalties. Wasn't a vintage performance at all, but it wasn't a cohesive team really, was it? It was young players, it was a mixture of the first team. So I'm hearing a lot of people saying there was only 4 changes at the weekend. Yeah, but how many players in that weekend lineup would be in our full starting 11? I think Charlie Cresswell, who was brilliant last night. Somerville played well. Thought Dan James, it was his best performance. Thought Rodrigo did well. Shackleton, of course. But listen, overall, it's nowhere near our first team, is it? So yeah, wasn't a great performance. I thought Fulham had the better chances, but there we go. It is what it is. We're through. Great bottle for the penalties, and let's get into West Ham, I guess. Now, coming up against West Ham, this is going to be a difficult game, isn't it? Let's be completely honest and transparent with each other here. It's going to be an extremely difficult game, not just because it's West Ham and they're a unique team in terms of David Moyes and how he sets up, but in terms of Leeds' injury front. And we're going to find out a little bit more about what the injury front really is by Marcelo Bielsa tomorrow. I'm recording on the Wednesday, but overall it's going to be an extremely tough game against West Ham. We're just going to get through some of the tactical sort of indicators of why it's going to be a tough game for Leeds. And we just have to look back to last season, don't we? The 2 games against West Ham United, 4 goals from set pieces, and it was just land of the giants, wasn't it? Angelo Ogbonna has already won 85% of his aerial duels this year. Dawson has won 72% of his aerial duels. Obviously, we know that defenders naturally win more aerial duels anyway, but those two are a little bit frightening, aren't they, when it comes to opposition box, the opposition box and winning headers. And we saw something very similar against Leeds United with Declan Rice, Souček, and obviously the returning Antonio. Now, what system are they going to be playing? It's going to be a 4-2-3-1. We've seen them revert to a back 3 as well, naturally, but I think that depends on the opposition, and that's very similar to Leeds in terms of what we do with the opposition. When they go to a front 2, we go to a back 3, which I know we're not all massive advocates of, really, but in one word, how do you sum West Ham up? It's just resilience, isn't it? And there's so many teams in the Premier League who don't play that free-flowing style of football where it's all about attack, and that's what Leeds United do. You know, Leeds with Bielsa, it's sort of a Bundesliga, La Liga vibe in terms of this is the way we are playing. You are never going to change our ethos. We're going to keep going this way, and it's extremely unique in the Premier League. I would say it's only Leeds and maybe Hasenhüttl's Southampton, and what does that mean? It means Leeds are going to lose possession. It means Leeds are going to lose games, but it also means Leeds are going to win games against opposition who don't have the calibre of the upper echelon of the Premier League. So it works in roundabouts, but Leeds are unique in that respect. The majority of the Premier League have unique styles which are difficult to beat. I would probably say now Everton under Benitez, you know, you've got Lage at Wolves as well, and Moyes at West Ham United is definitely one of those. So they're going to be extremely tough to beat, and I think we're all in a general realisation that this is going to be a really tough game. They've got a lot more functional under David Moyes, and what I mean by functional is all over the pitch it's got better. Defensively, West Ham used to be very, very susceptible. They used to be very weak at the back, in my personal opinion. And I think what Moyes has done is completely transformed what they are at the back, and he's turned them into early noughties Everton, hasn't he? With the likes of Sylvain Distin at the back and Phil Jagielka. He's almost got the reincarnation of Marouane Fellaini and Souček as well. So he really has reinvigorated West Ham in several ways. So yeah, they're very efficient in what they do. It's been the same blueprint of players now as well for 2 or 3 years. I think a lot of people forget that with West Ham. They've added little bits here and there, but this cohort of West Ham players have been consistent, and that only aids, which we've seen with Leeds United. Now, how do they set up in terms of tactically? Well, they defend deep, as we saw at Ellen Road and obviously down at West Ham Stadium as well, where Leeds actually for the first 10 minutes were probably the better team. We didn't take our chances. We weren't clinical on the day, which was quite unusual for Leeds for that season. Obviously, last season we were so clinical, unlike this season, and we didn't take our chances down at the at West Ham Stadium, and obviously that came to bite us. But they defend deep, they defend extremely narrow as well, and they try to progress centrally. And how do they do that? Well, they play off the returning man, Mikel Antonio, who's obviously going to be returning against Leeds United this week. And they play centrally. They look for the knock-ons as well, and you'll get the likes of Pablo Fornells and Ben Rama playing off the striker, and what a striker he is. I mean, we talk about West Ham And we talk about other clubs in the Premier League, maybe Leicester without Jamie Vardy are nowhere near the same team. Tottenham without Harry Kane are nowhere near the same team. And probably you would say this season at Manchester United, maybe without Cristiano Ronaldo, are not the same team. So that's the effect that Mikel Antonio has on this West Ham team. So him returning is a massive boost for West Ham. But in terms of them exploiting Leeds centrally, we saw this multiple times in the first two games. Souček and Declan Rice getting, I mean, they had the freedom of Ellen Road, really, and with that extra centre-back being able to press forward into Leeds' central midfield space, that's only going to aid West Ham in their production, really. So what else do they have in their arsenal in terms of looking at West Ham? Well, it's the crossing ability, and we saw that against Leeds last year, and I love to revert back to last season because Leeds haven't changed that much in terms of playing style, as I said at the start, and obviously personnel. So what do they try to do? Well, they try to exploit the wings and getting Cresswell and Koufal into crossing positions. The majority of the game is central, but when they are able to get Cresswell into crossing positions, that is when West Ham are at their most dangerous. They flood the box with the likes of Rice, Souček, Antonio, and they're a real threat in there. And with the crossing ability of Cresswell, it's extremely difficult to defend. Never mind for a Leeds starting lineup, but a Leeds weakened lineup, especially at the back, it's going to be extremely difficult. So with them playing centrally, it's going to be a slight problem for Leeds because obviously we play a lot out wide, and we even saw last night against Fulham, Josh Onomah had lots of freedom in that middle. I thought Harrison Reed was very free in the middle there as well, and we still had the likes of Click and Rodrigo who were probably going to be playing against West Ham United. So that is a slight worry, to be honest with you, and obviously Antonio does drop deep as well sometimes, but he drops deep sometimes, but I think overall his play off the last man is absolutely exceptional and something that, you know, Leeds United definitely need to keep an eye on. The left-hand side of West Ham you just have to be worried about because they've got such an incredible delivery in terms of Cresswell. His efficiency on that left is impeccable. You saw him obviously get success against Leeds last season, and Leeds have to be so defensively aware, and it could be something where Leeds are able to utilise Dan James, you know, even if we have an ever-present right side, and it might sound crazy, but even if Rafinha is fit, the defensive capabilities of Dan James, which was shown last night against Fulham, which has been shown so far against the likes of Newcastle, he's very, very good in that aspect of getting back, tracking back, and his pace is such a massive factor in him being able to do that with such efficiency. And I think with the likes of Benrahma and Fornells, who are naturally going to come inside and try drag the Leeds players inside, because obviously Leeds play with a lot of width, they're going to try drag the Leeds players inside. I think you're going to get a lot of the right back and the centre back being dragged inwards by the constant interchanging of the three in behind Antonio, and they're going to try create that avenue where Cresswell can just bomb on down. So they're going to move inside and they're going to create that avenue for Cresswell to just bomb outside and get those balls in. And you're going to get Rice and Souček bombing in, and obviously the likes of Antonio doing something similar. So I think it'd be fascinating. Let me know in the comment section below what you guys think. But for Daniel James, just as that defensive midfielder and how good he is at recovery, to be starting regardless of even if Rafinha's fit, which might sound absolutely crazy. Maybe you could put Rafinha on the other side. It's going to be fascinating to see, isn't it? But yeah, it's definitely something we have to tactically look at, because they're just going to get so much joy elsewise from that. You know, I think that the big thing as well, when even just looking at last night, the most recent game that we've played, and the back line, which is probably going to play against West Ham United in terms of Cresswell. Obviously, Cooper's probably going to be in there, isn't he? But you've got Firpo and Dallas, who was poor. Dallas or Shackleton in there. That is going to be the back line that's going to probably face West Ham United. And you still got Rodrigo Moyes last night winning 4 aerial duels in our box. So what's it going to be like with Antonio? And how do you stop that? You cut off the supply. It's going to be impossible to cut it off completely, but you try your very best. In terms of general, West Ham's possession stats this season have gone up from 47% to 54%. I don't know whether or not that's just based on the teams that they've played, which has been a massive improvement. They've got 11 goals from 5 games. Their results in the Premier League have been 4-2 win at Newcastle, a 4-1 win against Leicester, but then they have slumped a little bit. 2-2 against Palace, 0-0 against Southampton, which is where Antonio got sent off, and a 2-1 defeat by Manchester United. Now, another important stat is West Ham have had already the 5th highest shots in the Premier League. And the reason I wanted to bring that up is because Leeds have conceded the most shots. It even seemed last night with Fulham that they were just so able to expose essentially and just get shots off. Melee made a fantastic save from Onuma, but Fulham were really trying to get the shots off as quickly as they could, really. So they clearly exploited that. Aerial duels, according to FB Ref, Leeds United have actually won 59% of our duels this year, which is actually really good. You look at the opposition, the height that we're coming up against Everton, with the likes of Yeremina and Michael Keane, obviously Burnley with Tarkowski and Ben Mee and the likes, Ashley Barnes, Chris Wood. So to win 59% is massive, but the difference is I feel West Ham are more efficient. They're a bigger side. They'll exploit that a lot more with Leeds. They'll target that with Leeds, and you look at the evidence from last season, 4 set piece goals for West Ham against Leeds United, which is it's crazy, really. They've attempted 75 crosses this season, which is only second to Manchester City. And the opposition, the touches in the opposition box is the 4th highest for West Ham in the Premier League, which says it's not all just about creativity out wide. It is the central movements and the innovativeness in and around the opposition box. So, yeah, a positive for Leeds is I'd be shooting at Fabianski. I don't know what it is with Fabianski. I always think he's a little bit dodgy. And before the Manchester United game, they'd only conceded 8 shots on target, West Ham, and they conceded 5 of them. So Leeds need to do this a lot more shots, more effective shots as well. A lot of what we've done at this moment in time, Newcastle in the blueprint, is tame efforts which aren't testing the goalkeepers. Get your head up and have a real strike on goal and show your quality. I think this is definitely something Leeds United can exploit. Last time out, it was 2 difficult games for me. I don't think Leeds really had a foothold in any of the games. The 2 games that we played against West Ham United. But I think there's one area that we can exploit, and it is the overlap with the fullbacks. Sometimes with West Ham's wingers, you don't see them tracking back as effectively. Last season with Ben Rama and Bowen, you didn't see them tracking back as effectively. And I think this is where Leeds were able to exploit them in some circumstances, in terms of when we'd have Jack Harrison and Alioski on the overlap. And I think these overlaps are so key with Leeds United. You're not seeing it enough from Firpo. We need to start doing it a lot more. And whoever's on that right hand side, which I prefer to be Jamie Shackleton instead of Dallas at the minute, they just simply have to start the overloads, because this is how you exploit. This is how Leeds United are able to gain numbers forward and then gain chances in the opposition half. If we do that, I think that's where we can really exploit West Ham, because sometimes they can be a bit naive out wide in terms of tracking back via the wingers. The cutbacks as well, if they're not tracking back wingers, what's going to happen is Souček's going to be dragged over. If Souček is dragged over, that's going to enable Leeds United to have a cutback. If we'll get to the byline, cut it back, and then you could have maybe Rodrigo arriving or Click arriving and putting the ball into the back of the net. This is going to be so key for Leeds United, and definitely an area of West Ham's play that can be exploited. Souček's a great player, but he can be overzealous in terms of his positioning. If he's going to go help his fullbacks out, that is going to create space through the middle. It could create a 1v1 scenario with Rodrigo and Declan Rice as well. And that could be massively beneficial to Leeds United. But as I said at the start, guys, listen, there's positives at the end there, but this is going to be no easy task. Not just, as I've said before, because it's West Ham and they're one of the top sides in this division, but because Leeds are just hampered by injuries. We had decent squads out against them last time. The likes of Rafinha was playing, obviously Llorente was playing, Bamford was playing. We don't know if he's going to be fit. And we struggled. We really struggled. We did have shots on target. Listen, we had shots on goal 100% against West Ham, but this is going to be a difficult one. This Leeds United side haven't hit top gear yet 100%. I don't think the style of football's changed massively, but last season we were so clinical, and this year we just don't seem to have clicked into gear, and that even showed last night against Fulham. So let me know what you guys think in the section below. Are you looking forward to this game? I'm sure a lot of you aren't, but listen, sometimes it's not just about Leeds being bad, which I know it has been a lot of this season, but it's just about the Premier League being so good. It's the top division in world football, and teams like West Ham are playing in Europe, you know, and doing well in Europe. So it's going to be an extremely tough game. You can't just always blame it on Leeds being bad. You know, you can't. Just sometimes the opposition are just so good, and Leeds will not change their style of football. So it's very easy to pinpoint where we could struggle. But there are areas in this game where Leeds United could definitely expose West Ham, of which I've spoken about in this video. So I hope you've enjoyed it, guys. I hope you're enjoying the tactical breakdowns. Gives you a little bit of a different perspective on what I think and how we can break them down in terms of analytically. So let me know what you think in the comment section below, guys. Leave a like on the video, make sure you're subscribed, and I'll see you in a bit.